Hey everyone, this is Mark Dempsey with the CTC. Thanks for joining us. Let's go ahead and get started. I show top of the hour here. Thank you for attending our webinar here, our half-hour webinar, Perspectives on Stackable Certificates. I think many colleges, most colleges probably offer stackables. There's definitely some that don't, or they're just still new to it. Either they're talking about developing them, or they just recently implemented them. So I think it's sort of a good forum to discuss how that all works. It's definitely one of our grant goals is to encourage the ongoing adoption of stackables. So the point here today is, Ernie Friend from Florida State College, Jacksonville, Kyle Jones from Sinclair Community College, Jason Mitchell from Lansing Community College. They are all going to share maybe 5 minutes of their experiences. And then at the end, we'll have some questions, some discussion, kind of what's happening with y'all. That's the plan here. So if you would, go ahead and send your name and school to Christina in the chat box so we can record your attendance. And also, Christina, if you would, we have a real quick poll here to start things off. Just kind of get an idea of, who on the call here is offering them, who isn't sure, maybe not yet, but soon. That'd be a good sort of level set for our speakers. So hopefully today we're going to cover sort of 3 broad areas. Why are stackables so appealing to students? What makes stackables effective for the program, for you, educators? And how do colleges develop and implement stackable certificates? So that's sort of the 3 prongs hopefully this discussion will cover at some point. Yes is the winner, but there are a couple not sure and not yet, so that's good. Okay, so the definition, just sort of, we can do that first here. There's a Department of Labor definition. I mean, overall, I think we already know this. The building blocks where each earned short-term credential builds into a higher level credential, so you're stacking them into a larger degree. Another way to look at it here, stackable conjugate Lego blocks in the metaphor of assembly, which is a good way to look at it. And the idea that degrees are no longer the single big monolithic thing.
So I'm Ernie Friend, Florida State College in Jacksonville, and certainly we've had stackable degrees for quite a while. Some of you may recall about 15 years ago when sort of in education, the move was to go from these siloed programs. Let's say you had 2 or 3 or 4 different programs, maybe one on networking, one on programming, one on security. The move of 10, 15 years ago was to combine all those into one and have multiple tracks. We did that at the time, along with a lot of other colleges. But when we combined our programs together, one of the things we did is we came up with a common core, because at my college we have several AS degrees, but we were able to make a common core across all those degrees with the 4 or 5 classes. So we took those common classes and we made that into a college credit certificate, which kind of stacks in not just to 1 degree, but you can plug that 1 college credit certificate into multiple degrees. From there, we also added some more certifications above that. So basically, I know this is really hard to see, but a student could potentially get several stackable credentials out of 1 degree. And you might ask yourself, well, why? Why is that even necessary? Why not just have them complete the whole AS degree? Well, there's lots of reasons. One is there's some students who are coming in who just need quick training. Maybe they're getting funded by the local work board, and they just need a program with this. Maybe it just takes them, they want to get a help desk job, and they can do that in one of our programs by using one of the stackable certificates. And then when they get their job, they can come back and then finish off the degree, either the full AS degree or another stackable certificate. Another advantage of the stackable certificates is, let's say someone has some experience, right? They don't want to start at the bottom because they already have some experience in the field. Maybe they want to take your data science or IT security courses, or some other content, cloud, or whatever is new to your program. Maybe they just want those pieces, right? And sometimes the companies will only pay for degrees, which a stackable certificate for us is a degree, right? So sometimes companies will only pay for degrees, so that satisfies that. Another advantage, I think, of the stackable certificates is, at least in our case, you don't have to do the gen ed, right? So if you do the full degree, you have to do, in our case, 15 credits of gen ed. If you're doing a stackable certificate, there is no gen ed associated. So we actually use those college credit certificates in a lot of cases to get people back into school who have been out for a while, who are afraid of the math and the English. We're like, listen, you don't need to do the math and English right now. Just finish off this college credit certificate, get the technical experience, And then when you get comfortable, then you apply for the whole degree, and you should be back in the swing of things as far as your study habits and whatnot, to go back and take the math and English if that was something forbidding you from going back. So those are just a few of the reasons why technical stackable certificates are really important. And like I said, this is one program you're looking at right now. This is one of our programs. And although you probably can't see the detail, at least not in the side-by-side that I'm looking at, you can see the courses are on the left, and then what stackable certificates they feed into on the right. And we also sort of create the stackable certificates, one last thing, in sort of groups, right? So we've got a stackable certificate for Microsoft, one for cloud, one for security, one for networking, Cisco. So, depending on what people might want to come and either get a skill or upgrade skills, we have a good solution for them. And this is just our networking program. We also have other programs that contain the stackable certificates as well. Mark, I've got one more slide, but I don't know if I'm out of time.
Yeah, I think we probably should move on back to actually, Kyle, if you're there, this is very similar to what Ernie was just telling you. Your
sure.
thing is very similar. This grid of showing sort of how multiple things go across different certificates. Want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, you sound great.
Okay, great. Kind of going along with what Ernie was saying, that's really how we build ours out. So I'm the chair of the Computer Science and Information Technology Department here at Sinclair Community College. We're located in Dayton, Ohio. And right now I have about 14 associate degrees that I'm over, and each of them have a stackable certificate. So I have about 16 certificates and about 12 degrees. But kind of just the way that we laid this out, as you can see over here on the left, those are all of the classes that create our Secure Systems Administration degree. Then over to the right, you can see how the certificates are stacked in there with the X's and the boxes of the classes that make up that short-term certificate. So again, Ernie was mentioning that they have a core. We do too. That's the IT fundamentals. It's in every single one of our programs. It's that 18 credits. It's in every single degree we have. And then you can see that this one's got an information secure systems credential because that's what makes up our CAE2Y designation. So when students take those in the blue box, that first certificate line there, they actually get their CAE certificate sent to them in the mail with the signatures from the school, with all of the department crests and everything on it. So it helps us keep track of which students actually complete our CAE program. And then, of course, we have a Linux one and a Microsoft Cloud one. We are located close to a lot of government agencies here in Dayton, Ohio, a lot of government contractors. And some of them will say, hey, if you get a short-term certificate in this, that'll help out. Also, I think a lot of people on the call are educators or work for college districts. In Ohio, we're performance-based funding. So, if I keep all my funding models and the way that Sinclair makes money in the back of my head, we get a percentage of money back from state subsidy instruction for every time a student completes a short-term certificate. So there is an advantage to the school to have stackable certificates because that's performance-based funding coming back into our school district. I'm not saying that that's the only reason you would make one, but there is value to it. Not only value back to the college, but there's value to the students to having stackable certificates. So not all of my degree programs have 4. This one just happens to have 4 in it. Some of them might just have 1 or 2. We only try to do what makes sense. Again, we're not just trying to get state funding. We're trying to actually do what makes sense and to help out. So I just wanted to bring that funding in because if other school districts are like ours, that is important. It's not the only reason why you would do it, but it is another reason maybe we haven't discussed quite yet. But that's just kind of how ours is laid out, and it will just stack up, and it's easy. When the student takes the degree, they'll also get other short-term certificates in the mail. I have students build portfolios, and those are in their portfolios when they go to a job, showing that they've met those stackable certificates in that degree program. I also use it to help me market to high school students that that aren't very excited about going. They're excited about taking CIS classes or information security classes. And then I tell them, hey, look, you got this certificate, you can get another one. And also, by the way, if you take an accounting class and a math class, and an econ class, you can have a degree, right? So it helps me get students interested in that first step, because you can see how it builds into the degree program. Cool.
Okay, so we have a question. Christine, you want to give us the question we got in the chat box? Maybe Jason and Kyle and Ernie can talk about that.
Sure. The question is, are these certificates of completion or CompTIA certifications or vendor-specific certifications?
Sure. If you guys don't mind, since I was talking, I came out of industry, so I got really confused when colleges started saying these are certifications. And I'm like, no, they're not. Cisco is a certification. So these are certificates. If you look at my program, take for instance, 1130 Network Fundamentals is directly related to the Network Plus certification. So the best way that I can describe it is these short-term certificates are college classes that the college has identified, but all of ours directly line up to industry certifications. So technically they're not, I guess it would be certificate of completion of a series of classes, but these are not by any vendor other than Sinclair Community College or the other community colleges on this phone, identifying classes that can meet an industry need. So take, for instance, that information security one is all of the ones needed for the Center of Academic Excellence in Cyber Defense knowledge units. So I can meet all those outcomes with that short-term certificate. I hope that clears it up.
Yeah, and I apologize. I may have I may transpose the two, but you're right. So what Kyle just said, certifications are A+, Security Plus, that kind of thing. Certificates are college credit, typically, a collection of classes that are formed into a college credit certificate.
Yeah, and at Lansing Community College, hopefully you can hear me. Okay, beautiful. They are certificates of completion, but it also allows them to take those industry certifications. So for example, the A+, Network Plus, Security Plus could be a stackable / micro degree that may include a voucher. It depends on the course. And at the end of it, they could get that industry certification.
Yeah, and so let me just add this as well. One of the big advantages, I don't think I mentioned this before, but another advantage of the college credit certificates is that they can be financial aid approved, right? So unlike just a collection of courses, you may not get financial aid if you're not in a program, but actually the programs, since our college credit certificates meet the financial aid guidelines, let's say it's 18 credits, a student can get financial aid for that short-term college credit certificate.
Jason, let's go back and do yours since you're back with the audio now. So here's your first slide.
Okay, so at Lansing Community College, under the Computer Information Technology umbrella, there's actually 7 different sub-departments. And out of all those departments, we have 12 stackable pathways that range anywhere from 16 to 34 credits. And actually creating a stackable at LCC is simple, unlike creating new curriculum or a new degree. And typically it involves looking at the feeder courses or the foundational courses that kind of merge or go through each of the different umbrella departments. And so stackables, our stackables here can lead to 5 different degrees. And on the next slide, I show some examples. So here's an example. We have one called Cisco Certified Networks, which is a stackable. And it includes what was the CCNA stackable certificate of completion, but then a few more courses after that, you could go and take the networking and cybersecurity degree. So creating these, and I have, I think, one more example. So this is an example of a computer program analysis analyst. Again, just a total of 19 credits. But if you take a few more and a few core courses like I think Kyle was talking about, you get the degree. And this presentation is timely. I actually had an advising meeting with a student who was taking the Microsoft Office Specialist courses, and she just realized, hey, if I take three more courses, I get my degree. And a light bulb went off and a big smile, and it just made her want to pursue that because it was, she came the distance already. Here's an example. I mean, here's the other stackables that we offer. And really at our organization, it's really easy to create these. Working just with the coordinators, filling out a form, and really it gets approved through our curriculum committee, very easy. And then I think I have one more slide. If you do a SWOT analysis of stackables, the pros is you're giving students choice. Maybe it's they're not sure in IT where they need to go, so they can take all these stackables, all these feeder courses. So if they find something they like, they can veer off. Also, they can earn skills in a timely manner, especially in this day and age where they need a job, either upskill or reskill to meet industry need, and it's just easy for them. The weaknesses, I think, of stackables, and this is great because you can look at it and try to create mechanisms, and this is what we did to fix this. Number one is, when are they done with their completion of certificates, right? Right now, actually up until last year, the coordinator actually had to go through each student and figure if they were going to graduate, or the student had to raise their hand and say, hey, I think I'm almost done. But now we have an automated system where it will just send out the certificate of completion. Also, we had this problem where accounting for stackables didn't count in our 100% student success at the college. So we had to figure out that mechanism and make it count. And then there's some advisor confusion. And the mechanism that we built for that is a flow chart. So advisors have, if a student comes in and says, yeah, I'm interested in IT work, the advisor can now say, are you interested in software development, computer support repair, or cybersecurity? And then there will be like flow charts underneath that, and it might lead to stackables, or it might lead to the degree in the vocational side or in the academic side. And then, yeah, the future, we're just working on upskill, reskill, working with industry, and trying to fit stackables in the micro degrees, like 2 or 3 classes, and then you get your certificate of completion, and just making them smaller and more timely, and also competency based, so they can do it on their own time.
All right, cool. Thank you for that. So Christina, do we have questions from the chat box?
We do. We have another one. Does your local business and industry workforce recognize your stackable certificates equivalent to, for example, to A+, Net+, Security+, or CCNA?
Yeah, this is Ernie. I think, well, if you're using the built method, which hopefully everybody is, the business and industry leadership team method, one of the most important things about the built is that whatever you create is created at the request of your regional business community. So to answer that question, we wouldn't have built it if they didn't approve it or ask for it. So they certainly support it, if that's the question.
Yeah, same at LCC. Our advisory board does recognize the value of these certifications. They do recognize the skills that students have learned by coming out of these stackable courses.
Mm-hmm. And we've worked with some of our local companies that they recognize the short-term certificates in like secure systems administration for like their help desk tech. So they get students interested by saying, hey, go to Sinclair, get this short-term certificate. We would like you to finish your degree, but we'll use that as an entryway for the class because it's got A+, Network+, Security+, all built into the stackable. So they know that at least they're studying for those certs.
Okay, Christina, any other questions from the chat box? We have one more.
We have another one.
Okay.
How do you deal with students wanting to take stackable courses, but they are not college prepared?
I know that a lot of our stackable certificates, they start off with our entry level classes because they're prereqs anyway. I don't know how your students are, but my students might get straight A's in their IT classes than F's and everything else. So I'm more concerned about them being prepared to take like the math and the English than they are their IT classes, because it's probably something that they're passionate about, but they're not so passionate about other classes. So what we've done is we started having essay papers that meet, like MLA, APA formats in our classes. And we did that with our English department because our English professors kept saying, how come this student's doing well in your program, but they're failing all of our classes? So we started working with them to incorporate all of those pieces into our class so they can at least step towards. And that is a great question, because I have a lot of parents that'll call me and say, I can't get my son or daughter interested in anything other than A+ or Security Plus. But the parent wants the student to get a degree, so they always try to get their son or daughter to take our stackable certificate first. Then hopefully that will help them complete the rest of their courses.
Any more, Christina? You got one more question coming in?
Who pays for the industry certification exams? For this particular school, it's the students, but they do offer chances to win free exam vouchers.
At Lansing, it's certain courses. It's part of the course fee. So we're a CompTIA academic partner. So we purchase the vouchers through that. For other classes that are not included, we let them know that using the academic CompTIA store, they can get the same discount that we do as a college. So they get a couple $100 off. So they would have to pay for it on their own. It really depends on the course. Some offer it via course fee, some don't.
Yeah, and this is Ernie. We are working our way towards embedding the course fee or the certification fee into the course. Right now we don't have that, but like Jason mentioned, you can get about half off if you go to the CompTIA. If you use a domain from or a college domain, to get half off. But also, the state of Florida does something pretty interesting. They actually, so if a student comes to us with a vendor certification, A+, Security Plus, CCNA, our state actually so we send that to the state. They actually reimburse the college $1,000 for every certification that our students get. So what we do with that money is we reimburse the student for the cost of the certification, and then my department actually gets to keep the difference, right? Let me take that back. So let's say the certification was $300, there's $700 left. My college and our department split the money. So I get $350, my college gets, the college budget gets $350. So then I can use that extra money to try to get more students to take vendor certification. So, it gives me some of that money back so that I can market to more students.
And you probably also accept college credit for them passing the industry certification, which can almost get them a stackable certificate as soon as they come in as well.
That's a good point. I mean, I'd probably like yours, Kyle. I mean, in our program, if a student comes to us with, say 4 or 5 of the top certifications, they can wipe out half the degree, just by having those vendor certifications. Because the state of Florida, it's called the gold standard. The state of Florida has already dictated that if you offer this program, that you have to give students credit for these certifications, right? So it's kind of a nice deal. I mean, students know it. They come to us, and the ones that are motivated or maybe working in industry can come in and knock out some classes by articulating the credit from the vendor certifications.
We have one more question, Christina. Wrap it all up.
Have you guys built your degrees, then pulled out your stackables, or started with your stackables to build your degrees?
Well, this is Ernie. Sorry, Jason. So this is Ernie. We did them together, right? And then we added some later. So basically, when we built the degree, we added a couple of stackable certificates. But then as new technology came on, say like cloud or security or data science, then we started adding electives into the degree, and we made those electives into stackable certificates. So originally we had some, and then we add new ones as the new technologies come out. Because what we typically do is start with a college credit certificate. So we start with an elective, and if that's doing well, we build that into a college credit certificate. Let's say cloud. We did one AWS class. Now we have a whole track or a certificate in cloud. And then when that certificate starts to get really popular, we convert that into a full degree, a standalone degree. So that's kind of the path we take.
Mm-hmm. And also when we write grants, we kind of focus on that. Like, you know, we might write a grant that's just to make a certificate in data analytics, right? And then you can take that certificate, add in an IT fundamental certificate, and then add your gen eds, and you have a data analytics degree.
Yeah.
And we've done the same pathway Ernie has. We started with degrees and then pulled out the stackables, but with new technology, we create the stackables that lead to a new degree. Yeah, so it's both.
All right. Well, I think we're out of time. Thank you very much to Ernie, Kyle, and Jason for sharing their expertise and for those questions we got. Here on the slide here, there's all of our email addresses. If you want to ask me a question or them directly a question, I'm sure they're happy to help you out. 2 years ago, in 2018, we did a similar sort of presentation, and that's all been archived. There's the URL there on our wiki if you want to go back and see that content and some of those stackable grids. Please do a survey. I think Christina is going to put in the chat box a 5-question survey, super short, take you like 2 seconds to do it. Please do that if you would. I'm going to share these slides with everyone, and we recorded this. I will put this with Amy's help onto YouTube, and we'll let you know when that's up if you want to share that with your colleagues. Otherwise, I think we are done for the day. So thank you for your time. Please do the survey, and we will talk to you soon, all right?